This kind of critique of Nosferatu is very American because Americans expect to be spoon fed literal, linear stories where you get to understand intellectually what makes a character act the way that they act. And so, because Americans lack an understanding of symbolism, folklore, and archetype, they have criticisms like this when they see films like Nosferatu because they're like, oh, there was no character development. Ellen isn't really so much a character, she's an archetype. She's a representation of the soul itself. She stands in for women's souls, for instance. I mean, there's a lot of ways to read it, but if you're going into films like this that are impressionistic and that are imaginal, they happen in an imaginal realm of, again, where folklore happens and where legends and mythologies are created, you're going to be really frustrated and, yeah, bored. If you are culturally literate and you understand how folkloric kinds of material works, you don't need a backstory. Because you don't need a backstory for a vampire. There's plenty. You can go read up on vampire. But there's a certain kind of education that film goers need to have before they go into something like Eggers' Nosferatu and critique it like this. Oh, it's based on a silent film. Well, no, it's not just based on a silent film. It's based on hundreds of years of legend. Actually, no, it's based on thousands of years of tales of monstrous beings falling in love with mortal beings and enchantments and death and evil and, all those stories that humans have told around campfires and whispered to each other and passed along the generations. One of the things that I find most irritating about a lot of American entertainment, and Eggers is an American, by the way, but so many ordinary films do so much expositional dialogue. Oh, this is Count Orlok. This is how he got this way. Blah blah blah. I find that to be really insulting to my intelligence. It suggests that we can't just enter into the story and be with it. I loved that Eggers' film had so many long stretches where there's no dialogue because he trusts and respects the viewers to simply follow along with everybody as it's happening and don't need that dumbed down. This is what's happened. This is a psychological explanation. This is the backstory. This is like, you don't need any of that. I love that. It's time we got into more storytelling like that. Good storytelling affects the psyche, it speaks to the soul. We know what's going on. We don't need so much information. When you keep stopping and saying, but I need more information, you're acting like a computer, not like a human being. I do a lot of reading of folklore, legends, myths, and even short stories. I read a lot of poetry. I read a lot of sacred scriptures from various world traditions. And that trains my brain to just be able to be with a lot of mystery and abide with a lot of questions and openness in the material I'm encountering. This is actually true also for reading tarot cards. It's not being spelled out for you. So with Nosferatu, what more do you need to know really than there's this desire in this young, sad woman. She evokes and invokes this undead presence. They're obsessed with each other. All of this terror and death is unleashed. And then there's a confrontation and a culmination. And you just sit with it. It will work on you and in you if you will just allow yourself to sit with it. I know that tomorrow I'm going to be walking my dog, and I know I'm just going to have images from this gorgeous movie in my head, and it will be working on my heart and my spirit in some deep way that information never works on my heart and spirit.